Hello my friends! It's time for another episode of 10 super important... Hello my friends! It's time for another episode of 10 super secret tips that you...
Hell no.
Hello my friends! It's time for another episode of 10 super secret tips neither you...
Hey yo!
Hello my friends! It's time for another episode of 10 super important tricks that neither you...
Sin.
Hello my friends! It's time for another episode of 10 super important tips and tricks that neither you nor your grandmother knows, but you need to know them because you can abuse them, and if you don't know them, the enemies will know them and you will get wrecked. And the title was way too long. Let's start with number 1. Did you know that Balon has one of the strongest anti-CC mechanics in the game? On the previous patch, Balon got an upgrade to his performance in the battle, because now his helicopter move can no longer be interrupted by crowd control effects after the car. Yes, you heard it right. Some skills do have limitations when it's channeled. For example, Claude's and Odette's ultimates can ignore minor CCs like stuns and knockbacks, but you can stop them using stronger CCs like Petrify or Airborne effects. But our cute little mascot is built differently. You can try to push him back or knock him into the air using 𝐾𝐲𝐬𝐬 and Minotaur, but that won't stop him from spinning though. You can try to freeze him using Aurora, but the ice block won't stop spinning. Or maybe you can try to cancel him using a silent treatment? Nope. He still spins anyway. How about using Molina and turning him into your neighbor Totoro? You will be flabbergasted because the spinning damage still persists. Maybe now you're thinking, the strongest CC in the game is definitely going to stop him. Surely nothing can counter suppression, right? Wrong again. No matter what you do, he never stops. Getting swallowed by a T-Rex, he still spins inside its belly. Getting bitten by Papa Franco? No problemo. Getting tied up by the bondage bird? You know the answer by now. He keeps spinning. Right now no one can force stop his second skill while in motion, which makes him quite OP but not as broken as the girl next door. Number 2. I won't start this one with a question, but you probably realize that Lunux is getting banned all over the place in a rank match. The reason is pretty simple. Thanks to the previous revamp on her passive, she can now benefit from cooldown reduction items. Now guess what happens if you have 2 ultimates and both have a very low cooldown? Yep, it becomes an almost unstoppable infinitive loop. Even after the recent nerf, you can literally spam her ultimate back to back without a break at level 12, which basically surpassed the OP title and became downright broken. To do this after the nerf though, you need at least 45% cooldown reduction. Here's the breakdown. If you are playing as a jungler, then you can buy different boots and get the rest CD reduction from the purple buff. The second part is her ability to convert Spell Vamp into magic penetration from the Chaos form. It means if you use the Fighter Emblem and Festival of Blood, you are carrying 20% magic penetration for free without buying a single item. Combine this with Concentrated Energy that gives 20% Spell Vamp and Divine Glaive that gives you 40% magic penetration. Her Chaos state will shred any tank like butter with 80% magic penetration in total. And one last thing, since her ultimate scales with the enemy's max HP, it means you can abuse this effect on the turtle and lords. I mean, look at this disgusting damage. I don't remember Retribution being spammed like that. But that's enough information about the dream girl you can never have. So let's move on to the next hero that fell under the radar instead. Seid ihr das Essen? Nein, wir sind die Jäger. Finally, it makes sense for once using German in one of my videos. With the ongoing collaboration with Attack on Titan, it will be a good chance to learn about Eren and how to make him deadly. I mean, apart from the buffs he will receive, because let's be real, even Moonton is not trying to hide it anymore. We've seen it now countless times that Moonton is buffing certain heroes just to sell more of the new upcoming skins, but that's a different topic. Now, whenever you take the enemy inside your domain expansion, calm your breath and don't rush to spam your skills. In this case, Sissy pops out her sprint and her passive makes her run extremely fast. And to land your combo, you have to be one arm away from the enemy. The closer you get, the easier it is for his combo to land. So just walk up towards her and wait for the buffs to be cleared. Since the main targets for Yin are either mages, marksmen and low HP enemies, their common reaction is either running away to the corner or dashing away to avoid his combo. So to use Yin effectively, you have to be calculating and wait for them to use their escape abilities. The worst thing you can do is just rushing in and aim for the kill once you get inside of the domain. His domain lasts for 8 seconds, so you can take your time and focus on aiming his second skill instead. You'll be surprised how easy it becomes to kill the enemy once they panic and spend their flicker for nothing. Speaking of escaping death, number 4. Magic Blade can save your life. Yes, the blue sword that costs half of the price of the big boy items can get you out of sticky situations. Especially if you're fighting against enemies with a lot of magic damage. It gives you an emergency shield once your HP drop below 30% and extra movement speed to get you out of the fight. But the trick doesn't end there. Even though Magic Blade and Rose Gold Meteor have this same unique passive, for whatever reason it is still considered as 2 different pieces of equipment. So you can abuse the emergency shield twice by upgrading the former blade. This can catch the enemies off guard and ruin their damage calculation in the team fight. And it's just a cool trick in general to impress your crush using your fast hand reactions. But this is just a quick example. Even though Hanabi is a pretty popular pick across the ranks, you will never get as popular if you don't know how to impress the girls using Nana. Like my wife, for example. Luckily for you, we will talk about how you can do that now. Number 5.1. The underrated 𝐷𝐸𝐬𝐧 versus the overrated 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸. If you take a look at the pro setups on Nana, their recommendation is mostly filled with 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸 as the cherry on top. While it's true that 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸 is pretty much a must-have item for Nana, 𝐷𝐸𝐬𝐧 can be a flexible option to consider, thanks to the better attributes in general. If you compare the damage side by side against tanks with massive magic defense, 𝐷𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸 only wins by a small margin. So you say 𝐷𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸 is a much better option, it deals better damage and is much cheaper. What the fuck are you trying to tell us, Nico? While it might be true that 𝐷𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸 deals higher damage thanks to the penetration passive, you can't ignore the true damage that comes from every boomerang. Nana is a perfect hero to poke your enemies from a distance, so the extra true damage will hurt no matter how much magic defense the enemies are piling. Hybrid lifesteal, mana regen and cooldown reduction will help you to spam more Molinas. And you don't really need that much penetration anyway, because Molina will cut the enemy's magic defense by 25%. If you're still unsure when you should pick 𝐷𝐸𝐬𝐧 over 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸, just look at the enemy's team composition. If they are just a big bunch of butter waiting to be melted, squishy enemies, then you can ditch 𝐉𝐴𝐺𝐸 since you won't benefit that much from the extra magic penetration anyway. The movement speed bonus also helps you to kite the enemies better and escape bad situations. Speaking of escaping, 5.2, where's the survival equipment? A defensive item is necessary in the late game, but the special thing about Nana is her annoying passive that turns her into an invincible Molina. It acts as a lifeline once she receives a deadly blow, and she gains death immunity and goes crazy fast on her feet. Nana is a backlane mage anyway, so buying another survival item is an overkill. Just pay attention to your positioning and support your team from a safe distance. Nana should only buy Immortality or Winter Trunction once her passive goes into a cooldown. Buying them while the passive is still active is a waste of space and limits her burst potential. You can also just fix this problem easily if your hands get as fast as 𝐃𝐤𝐬𝐼's. Basically, this just means get good at the game or your parents will disown you, like what Moonton did to the hero we are talking about next. Number 6. Zazk, the forgotten child of Moonton. As a mage, Zazk has a very awkward kit. Items like Ice Cream Wand and Lightning Trunction won't be triggered by his spawns, because the lasers from his spawn are not considered as skills, but as basic attacks. So buying items with basic attack effects will help him to deal juicy damage, but there's some inconsistency with the logic of his spawns. Firstly, the spawn can't deal critical damage even though it triggers basic attack effects, so spending gold on Berserker's Fury, Heart's Claws and the Great Dragon Spear is useless with him. Secondly, the spawn doesn't benefit from physical attack bonus, so getting Demon Hunter Sword, Golden Staff and Corrosion Scythe won't be worth the gold. It can still trigger the basic attack effect, but that's about it. The only attack speed items that can fully work with his spawn is Feather of Heaven, since both of them can enjoy the attributes and passive simultaneously. Some items like Glowing Wand and Genius Wand can be abused though. Spawn will trigger the burning effect and Feather's passive without any effort. This includes the effect of Genius Wand, Necklace of Durance, and Concentrated Energy. Even though he has a unique gameplay as a turret summoner, his trait is too niche and he has a hard time adapting to the current meta. The skill animations take forever to cast and the enhanced spawn can be killed by Retribution. Whoops, I must have been affected by the guy who pledged justice for Zask months ago. My man just wants to make his main popular. Number 7. The Armageddon of the healer meta. It took us 3 months until the trend actually died down. After the mass nerf on support heroes like Angela, Florin, and Matilda on October 2023, Moonton went far and beyond to put the last nail in the coffin by November. The nerf of the accursed artifact that haunted ranked matches, which even broke the banning phase for a whole season. Despite getting slammed by the nerf hammer, Flask of the Oasis is still an important piece of equipment for support healers. But after the nerf, you should really avoid building it as the first item, since the shield only grows with the target's level. Now buying it in the early game grants you a smaller shield than before. So let's say it took you 5 minutes as a roamer to buy your first item, and your jungler just reached level 7 thanks to successful ganks. That means your photo only provides 700 shield when it triggers its passive for the jungler, while the old photo could give you a shield of 1020 in the exact same scenario. Due to the reduced base shields, there are a lot of better options out there for healers now in the early game. For example, you can focus on Enchanted Talisman so you can stay longer and heal faster, or you can buy defensive items like Athena Shield and Dominance Ice Cream for better sustain. I recommend you to start building Photo as your second item. Number 8. The underrated Mommy Healer and her deadly stacks. Don't be fooled by the big scaling numbers on Hilda's skills. Even though it looks tempting to deal massive damage on your enemies, her main role is still a fighter/tank. This means your main objective is to soak up the damage for the team. In most cases, there is no need for Hilda to build any defensive items. Wait, damage items. You need to build defensive items, because Hilda has 2 passives. The first one helps her to quickly regenerate HP inside of a bush and grants her an extra shield, and the second passive is a secret debuff for your enemies. Her attack leaves marks on the enemy and each mark will reduce their hybrid defense by 4%. Now, since the mark can be stacked up to 6 times, it means that you can reduce the enemy's physical and magic defense by up to 24%. Now, the defense reduction is not limited to Hilda's attacks. Your allies can also deal higher damage against the enemies with stacks on them. This is the main reason why Hilda is so deadly in the early to mid game. She doesn't need any early game items like Blade of the Heptases to shred her enemies. Just smack the enemies and fill up those stacks and finish them off with your ultimate to deal massive damage based on their max HP. Number 9. Roger and the 50-50 rule. With the passive adjustments from the previous season, Moonton wants to give his human form more stage time rather than being in the wolf form all the time. But a lot of people are still sleeping on this werewolf, so I'm going to give you an easy tip how to use Roger. All you need to remember is the 50-50 rule. In his human form, his basic attacks deal additional 5% target current HP damage. So basically just treat it as a free DHS at this point. Always start with engaging in his human form, and once the target's HP depleted down to 50% or less, transform into the wolf form right away and chase them down using your combo. The wolf basic attack deals additional 5% of the target's lost HP, so it's perfect to finish off and chase the escaping enemies. This makes our little pup much more dangerous and much more effective. And number 10. Stop using meta heroes just because they're meta. What? I thought meta heroes are always the best, and why you make so many tier list videos, Nico? What is going on? It is quite simple actually. Whenever we make these tier list videos, some complain that ST heroes are completely overrated because they can't win any game with them, while others claim that they rush to mythical glory in solo queue using one of our DT heroes, and we have absolutely no idea how good this hero actually is. Why is that though? Because those players just never understood the concept of meta heroes and comfort picks. Which is honestly a shame because it's one of the most important things you need to know when you want to rank up without trouble and adjust to the ever-changing meta. To know why you shouldn't just pick meta heroes randomly, click on this video right here. See you over there!